everyone, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. Lots of lessons, backing tracks on here, some other things, what I can't remember. So I got a request lately to do a little video on intervals because I think I explained in a previous lesson just how important they are. I mean, they are the building blocks of all of our scales, at least it's how I think of it. They're the building blocks of all of our scales, our chords, our arpeggios, pretty much anything we do with music. So if we can get these fundamental building blocks down, then there's really nothing stopping us in terms of understanding theory, finding our chords, finding our scales, things like that. So really, I wouldn't even say handy, I'd say essential to get down. Now I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos lately, and one guitarist I've been watching a lot of is Jackylessons. Phenomenal player, absolutely brilliant player. I've been listening to his stuff for a while, really good. And he's actually taught by one of my favourite guitarists of all time, Tom Quayle, who's my guitar hero, so I'm so jealous of that. So last year he put out a video about intervals. Really good video. I put a link to it in the description, and he goes into lots of different ways to visualize a fretboard and find your intervals. Some really cool methods I haven't heard of, really cool stuff. So I learned a lot from that. Another important fact, he mentions to actually sing your intervals, which is hugely important. I tell all my students to, not just sing your intervals, just sing what you play. Just sing what you play. That goes for you shredders, playing 16th notes, arpeggios at 200 BPM. Just kidding. But yeah, so hugely important. So guys, if you haven't already, go and click on Jack's channel and go and subscribe to him. Really phenomenal player. Just and pick up his video pack. Really sick phrases. Really sick playing. Watching that video kind of inspired me a little bit just to share one of the ways that I look at intervals. Jack sort of touched on this a bit, and this is just a fun little, well, not fun, but this is just a little exercise that I sort of came up with, and it helps me find my way around the fretboard. And it helps me with a few things. One of them is finding chords. If I want to build a big fancy chord, and I want like a 9 in there, or a 7 or a 13, well, I can find these intervals without having to think too much, because essentially we want to eliminate the thought process. We want to eliminate thinking, and this isn't in terms of just finding our chords, but especially when we're soloing over backing tracks and things, we want to avoid the whole, oh, is that my 6 or is that my 5, is that my flat 7, whatever. We want to be like, bam, flat 7, bam, 13, bam, whatever it is, right? And be able to find these intervals very quickly, because we might be wanting to, if our backing track has a major 7 chord and we want to highlight that major 7 in there, well, it's going to benefit us to be able to find that 7 very quickly in all the different strings. So this is kind of a fun little thing I came up with. And just for those of you who might not be familiar with intervals, those of you that are more have a background in this, just please feel free to skip ahead. But if we just take a C major scale, we're just going to think in terms of numbers. So I'm just going to go through the C major scale. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Okay. Now we have notes in between those notes. You may notice I didn't play every fret. So there's notes in between those. So in between 1 and 2 we have a flat 2. Between 1 and 3 we have a flat 3. We have a sharp 4 or a flat 5 here, also known as a tritone. We have a flat 6 here, flat 7, right, so we're going to go 1, flat 2, 2, flat 3, 3, 4, flat 5, 5, flat 6, 6, flat 7, 7, 1. Okay, right, so that is just in this little area. So what we want to be able to do, like I said, eliminate the whole thought process when we're soloing or finding big fancy chords or arpeggios. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in C major. So I'm just going to start from my C, and let's just say I want to find my 2s or 9s, which however you want to look at it. For those of you that don't have a huge background in this, another name for a 2 is a 9. Or when we get past the first octave, we can look at the 2 as being a 9. I really just use that the term 9 in terms of, you know, when I stack big chords up together. Don't worry too much about it right now. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go 1, 2, and my 2 is a D. Right, so let's just say I want to get really good at finding my 2s. I'm going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, because there's a D here. 1. Now I'm going to go, so I've done my E string, I've done my A string, I'm going to go to my D string. 1, 2, 1, 2, onto the next string. 1, 2, big stretch there. 1, 2. Right, so right here, this might be a way of playing a 9 or a 2 that some of you haven't thought of before, right? And I know that when I practice this, I find ways of playing certain intervals where I'm like, oh wow, I never would have even thought of doing that shape. I remember when I found out you could kind of do octaves like this way, because I always played octaves like, I had always played octaves like in this shape. When I found out you can kind of do them like this, that blew my mind. It's just me, I don't know. Anyway, but right, so then what I'll do when I get to the top, so 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, make sure you sing them as you go through. 1, 2, get used to the sound of them. 1, 2, 1, there. 1, 2, 1, 2. Then I'm going to go backwards, right? Because I want to memorize it from the other way coming up. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Okay. Right. So you may be saying that's all well and good from the low E string, but we want to be able to find these intervals from some of the trickiest strings in the middle, right? So what we'll do is we'll go, let's find our C on the A string. Well, let's do it here, 15. So we've got a C here, and we go 1, 2, okay, so I'm going to look for all of my Ds here. So I've got, I can go 1, 2, 1, always go back to the 1. So you just have a reference point from that 1 of where your interval is. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. We've got 1 right over here. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. We go backwards. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. Okay. So if we're soloing, I can quickly find. So if you're on the A string, there's a cool way of playing a 9 or a 2. Directly underneath, but you skip 2 strings. Right, so if someone says to you, find me a major 9 chord, well, even if you don't really know how to play that or what that is, you can immediately find, okay, well there's my 9. Okay, where's my major 3rd? I know it's right there. So even right there, I'm going to highlight the shell of a major 9, just from that tiny little bit of knowledge. And I might want to add in the 7 there, right? So I've got 7 right here. Now I'm highlighting the main notes of the major 9 chord. I don't have the 5 in there, but I really like Jack's description of the potato note, because they have no taste, because they're sort of a neutral interval. I really like that description. So yeah, so right, then I'll go to, naturally I'll go to the D string. I'll go 1, 2, 1, go backwards this way. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. Okay, work my way up. 1, 2, 1. So that's kind of a jump. I'll go this way. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. Now I'll go backwards. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. Okay, go all the way. 1, 2, 1. Okay, so there's lots of different ways of playing the same interval. So after you've done that, I recommend doing your go for every interval. So you can go for, I recommend this though, instead of just going 1, 2, 1, skip and then go 1, 5, 1, 1, 5, 1. Okay, because if you just go 1, 2, 1 and then you go 1, flat 2-1, well, all you have to do is just shift that interval, that 2 down a half step. So it's not really training your brain as well. So once you've practiced this a little bit, it might benefit you to stick on, we're in C major right now, stick on a C major backing track and just limit yourself to soloing with just a 1, 2, 1, right, in all these different positions. So what you're doing is going to train you to find your way around the fretboard and just isolated little pieces of information. And that's the way, this is just the way I learn, everyone. You know, this isn't the best way, this isn't, you know, this is just something I came up with one day when I was practicing. I just like, me personally, I just like to take tiny little pieces of information and just drill them till I really, really, really get them down. So this is what helped me. This helps me find my chords relatively quickly if I've been too lazy to learn them, or if I have to figure out, you know, a ninth chord or something like that quite quickly. I came up with a shred background, you know, obsessed with all the shredders, and I still am, right? I still love shred. But one challenge for me was when I got into the, you know, the larger chords and chords that you might find in jazz and things like that. I found it very difficult to find these. But this is a method that has helped me out personally. So I hope that that's helped you. I hope that answers some of your questions for those of you that have asked me about intervals. If you have any questions, you know, shoot me a comment and hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe if you got some value from this video, and head over to my web store if you'd like some more lessons. I've got lots of shred packs on there, lots of fun stuff, some legato picking, you know, all that fun stuff, sweeping. Much love, everyone. I hope you're all staying safe, stay inside, go practice.